Emma Graham never liked driving at night, especially through empty stretches of countryside. The roads felt too quiet, the darkness seemed too absolute, and there was always that unshakable feeling like she wasn't as alone as she appeared to be. Tonight, that feeling was worse. She was heading home after visiting an old friend out in the sticks, and as the minutes passed, she became increasingly aware of how suffocating the silence inside her car had become. The GPS indicated she had a solid 90 minutes left to get back to her small suburban apartment. Then it happened. The GPS announced a seemingly minor recalculation. Recalculating route. Turn left onto Elm Creek Road. Emma frowned. That road wasn't on her usual route home, but when she glanced back at the screen, it showed her ETA was now 20 minutes shorter. Her exhaustion won out over her nerves, and with a deep breath, she made the turn. Elm Creek Road was a single narrow ribbon of pavement cutting through a dense forest. Emma switched on her high beams. Massive pine trees loomed, their skeletal branches swaying in sync with the wind. The road itself dipped and curved sharply, forcing her to slow down to avoid skidding into the ditches that hugged each side. A sinking feeling settled in her stomach. It felt like she was entering another world, one detached from everything familiar. She brushed off the unease by turning up the radio, though the weak static only added to her discomfort. Then, the sound cut out completely. Her breath hitched as the cabin of the car became eerily silent. A sharp knock echoed from the side of her car, followed by what she swore was a faint voice. "Help me, please." Emma slammed on the brakes, her heart hammering in her chest. She frantically searched the side mirrors, but saw nothing except shadowy outlines of the trees. Her stomach churned. "It's just the wind," she whispered to herself, gripping the steering wheel tightly and forcing the car forward. But just when she thought she'd shaken the fear, another knock, this time louder, closer, clearing her throat. Emma decided she wasn't stopping again, not for anything. But as the road wound deeper into the forest, her headlights picked up something up ahead. The first unsettling discovery. Lying in the middle of the road, illuminated by the harsh glow of her headlights, was a single black trench coat. Emma's heart skipped a beat. It was sleek, dark, and inexplicably soaked, as though whoever had worn it had been wandering through some swamp before discarding it. Panic rose in her chest, but she couldn't drive over it. It was spread across both lanes like an ominous warning. "What the hell?" she muttered, her pulse pounding in her ears. Against every logical instinct, she rolled her car forward, inching just close enough to inspect the coat, and then it moved. Emma gasped, slamming the car into reverse. The coat spasmed, contorting itself unnaturally, folding and unfolding its arms. No, not arms, wings. Suddenly, her car shut off. The engine sputtered before the dashboard went black, plunging her into pitch darkness. Emma froze in her seat, her breath coming in shallow bursts. Somewhere outside, in the suffocating silence, she heard it, a soft creak on the asphalt, then another. Footsteps, deliberate, patient. Her trembling fingers fumbled for her phone. She shined the flashlight out the driver's side window and screamed. Standing only inches away, face obscured by a curtain of matted black hair, was a woman. She didn't tap the glass or wave. She simply stared. And then, in a voice barely louder than the sound of her own breathing, Emma heard it again. "Help me, please." The turn Emma's mind flipped between fight and flight. Ignoring the figure outside, she locked her doors and cranked the ignition. Miraculously, the engine groaned, flickered, and roared back to life. She slammed her foot on the gas pedal. Her tires screeched, and she swerved around the trench coat, leaving the eerie woman in the rearview mirror. She kept her eyes glued forward, refusing to look back. The road seemed to stretch endlessly now, twisting and turning as if it were toying with her sense of direction. Her arms ached from how tightly she gripped the wheel. Then her phone buzzed on the center console, a text. Without taking her eyes off the road, she glanced down. It was from her own number. "Why didn't you stop?" Emma's blood went cold. Her foot instinctively lifted off the gas, and her car rolled to a stop. "No," she sat, whispered. "That's not possible. That's not possible." The horror peaks. The phone buzzed again. Another text from the same number. "I'm still here, Emma." Her breath caught. She hadn't told anyone she was driving home. Her fingers shook as she went to delete the texts. But before she pressed the button, the screen jumped to her camera app, and there, in the live window, she saw it, a reflection of her back seat. Someone, or something was sitting behind her, completely still but entirely there. The faint outline of matted hair, damp clothes, and hollowed sunken eyes stared right at her. Before Emma could scream, the figure's head twitched to the side, its mouth parting unnaturally wide into a toothy grin. The headlights of another car suddenly filled her vision, blinding her. She swerved off the road and hit the brakes just before she plowed into a ditch. Emma blinked as her surroundings grew quiet again. When she turned around, it was gone. The back seat was empty. Shaking, Emma floored it the rest of the way home. She didn't stop, not for gas, not for lights, not even when her phone buzzed again, though she refused to look. When she finally reached the safety of her small apartment, she locked every door, drew every curtain, and sat in the corner of her room, clutching a kitchen knife. Exhaustion tugged at her limbs, but she couldn't bring herself to close her eyes. Eventually, she dared to check her phone. There was one unread notification, a voicemail. She played it on low volume, her breath shallow as she pressed the phone to her ear. A faint whisper crackled through the recording, barely audible. "I'll be waiting by the code." Emma's phone slipped from her hands, clattering onto the hardwood floor. In the dead silence that filled the room, she could hear it, a slow, deliberate knock at the door.